So, I'm taking a short break from reading to talk for a minute about when people forget that everyone matters. And, you know, we might be working together with people in different ways. And I don't know, working together, some people don't seem to understand the idea. But that doesn't mean a person should give their life or be expected to give their life. So, if a person has served in the military, where of course, I mean, that's just one of those things that's kind of like, yeah, you know, you might die. Well, when a person, if we want to talk about civilian life, if we have to use that word, and I prefer not to, but I don't think that's the way we tend to function in civilian life. So, so a person might think, and I've talked about this before. I don't remember if people watched it or not. This idea of a greater good. I mean, that's. I'm gonna say that's garbage. Okay, so what's a greater good? You know, and when a person is thinking like that and they think that person's life doesn't matter, I don't know what it takes to remediate that person, to help that person understand, yeah, that person's life matters. I mean, this is real serious because we can be working within groups, we can be, if you know, members of different political parties and things like that. But that doesn't mean that, you know, there's some collective idea of you give your life for this. You know, not that I'm aware of. I don't know of any political party where that's part of it. In the military, again, I mean, that's kind of like, yeah. And when there's a draft, I mean, yeah, you know, it's not good. But as civilian, I don't want to use that word because civilians does what? That it's an implicit reference to a republic. And yeah, we're human. But if a person wants to think in terms of public, private, civilian, military, and things like that, it is not okay to expect a person to give their life. I will talk about in this part of the country where we are known to have a high rate of heart disease. You know, and some of my family members have died of that. And, you know, and I know I have some. And I think about when a person lacks the understanding and lacks the compassion and might think, I mean, I don't think that is thinking collectively. I think there are different ways to think collectively. You know, when some people are caught in the meat grinder, I mean, again, that's a military more kind of, you know, way of functioning. That is really not acceptable in the civilian world. You know, again, if we want to refer to civilian, but yeah, I just felt the need to talk about that. You know, I ain't fucking giving up my life. But the past several years are harming my physical health. And, you know, I mean, really, I guess I can't expect other humans to have much compassion. And where has that gone? You know, what has happened to that? Is it down the big toilet of the nuclear infrastructure, perhaps? I think about people I know who have died in the past several years who are around my age, and that is serious. A person cannot be brought back to life. So, yeah, you know, we ain't in the military. It ain't military, it ain't militias. You know, people might have, again, political parties, things like that. And I don't understand really the idea of enemies. There are times that I'm like, yeah, there are some. But does it have to be like that? You know, I think that's an immature way of thinking. I mean, I think some of us have moved beyond that culturally, you know, over however many generations to where it shouldn't, that shouldn't go on, you know. But yeah, but I do think about a friend who included in a prayer praying for our enemies, but that's, it's just not a good way to live. I don't think so. So yeah, you know, I mean, if a person wants to live in that military mindset of a person's life doesn't matter, well, I mean, I guess I'm going to think about my dad and his medic training and the way that I think it is important to keep people alive. And what would dad have done? I mean, he had a sharpshooter's badge. You know, I mean, I don't know what he would have done. Maybe he wouldn't have made it back. But yeah, so, you know, just a few words. I mean, Again, when people think that they're doing anything helpful by pushing another person down, by making another person beg, by thinking that I'm withholding this to make that person tougher, or I'm doing this to make that person stronger, that's wrong. That's immature. And it's brutal. And sometimes in cities in this country, that's the way people think. People are in that, it's a rat race thing, I guess. Whether people think of it that way or not. Well, I mean, across parties, I think there are people who are not like that. I mean, it might be hard to find in some of them, but maybe not completely. So, yeah, just a few words. I mean, collective. When a person is only thinking like that, I mean, that ain't healthy. I will just say that. So, yeah, um, what we are living, it isn't fiction. It isn't past history, although there are repeats of past history. It is living now, trying to stay alive, trying to stay healthy enough, and trying to get people out of harm's way and trying to prevent harm. That is what plenty of us are trying to do. And when people don't care and people think it doesn't matter if you end up dead, it doesn't matter if you end up mangled in the machine. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe someone can walk the person through a little, sort of something to help that person see, no, that is not ever acceptable.